Welcome again. Welcome to the lighthouse. And the little wanderer has come over to also greet you and welcome you to the lighthouse. Welcome everybody to today's meditation. So um, it's been a while since we've done what is called an Aditan meditation. An Aditan is what that means is strong determination. So very oftentimes when we gather for these integrative practice sessions, I'll give you a little handbag, quite literally, because we're doing all kinds of mudras and practices such as that. I'll give you a little handbag of diversified techniques to unravel through in a 30-minute span of time. But for today, I want to do an Aditan sit, which means that we're going to do one meditation. And I, as a practitioner, have a real particular fondness for these Aditan practices, which are the long sustains because of a variety of reasons. First and foremost, Aditan practices help us to hack the mainframe of the subconscious mind. You know, if we just kind of like dabble in a meditation briefly, it might move a few things around at the level of sensation and emotion and feeling and perception and so forth. But if we really are interested in sustained change, which we are, then we've got to get in there and hack the mainframe. And so that's really what actually happens electrically and energetically when you get inside of a meditation and you stay inside of it and you allow it to kind of set a match to all of your attachments and preoccupations and quite importantly, you let the meditation set a match to all of the attachments that you may or may not, but most likely may have to the concept and belief of I and me and mine. So if we are interested in cultivating our meditative mind, which we definitely are, then we have to identify the fight that we're in our lives, and we have to identify the fighter. So that means knowing the process that you're trying to engage in or that you're endeavoring in, and knowing who's in the middle of it, right? And to create lucidity around that. And so in my views, one of the ways to create lucidity around the neutral mind and the meditative mind, and knowing that you're as much as possible in the order of the day, bringing together your relative mind and your ultimate mind into a multivariegated, meticulous mind, is to cultivate intelligence. You know, and we've got ESI, which is emotional and social intelligence, and here in integrative practices, we're really interested in a different kind of intelligence that's your intuitional intelligence. In the East, they have a beautiful word for that, and it's called koa, which is your intuitional wisdom, which very oftentimes gets really covered up because of the way that we tend to get in our own way and the way that the world is kind of freeze framing our perceptions and the sensitivity of our observational skills. So Krishnamurti, who was one of the best thinkers of all times, Krishnamurti said that intelligence is the bringing together of sensitivity and observation. Sensitivity and observation. And so that is the tributary we're going to address with this Aditan meditation here in a second. So intelligence, intuitional intelligence. You know, for centuries, intelligence and power was assigned to and defined by those who had the information, right? That doesn't apply for us anymore because of technology and because of these smartphones that we're handcuffed to, for better or for worse. We all have the information. So we're uncovering right now, as we are in the midst of a most remarkable social change ecosystem right now as a global species, we are in the midst of unveiling a new definition for intelligence. And it has a lot to do. The foundation that we're building around this new definition for intelligence has a lot to do with the way we can engage with self and other, and with the power and privilege of possibility from a place that is sensitive and observant, that is malleable, that has plasticity, that has agility, that has compassion and empathy, threaded through it, through and through and through. So when you begin the meditation here in just a second, recognize that when we do these deep sits, that there's a deconstruction process that is going to start working on you. But don't get mired up in that. It's very easy to go, thinking self-sabotaging thoughts when you feel challenged in a practice. The deconstruction is just the first gate. Let the deconstruction process yield to the reconstruction process, and then that is, in fact, absolutely a metaphor for us in terms of what's going on all over the world right now. Things are getting deconstructed and reconstructed. Many, many years ago when I was pregnant with my daughter, I spent time going back and forth to Guatemala because her father was living in Guatemala at the time, and they had suffered he was living on the shores of Lake Atitlan, which is a very, very beautiful, beautiful place in the highlands. And they had suffered landslides, and in fact, there were certain small villages that had gotten completely washed into the lake and just disappeared, overnight. But what was most remarkable to me was to watch the ingenuity of the local native indigenous people that lived on these shorelines, and how they very rapidly took the rubble of the deconstruction and were being very constructive with it, and creating new stairs, new homes, new walls, new places to work, new places for children to play. They were very busy using what had come down to create what was wanting to grow up. And we have to keep recommitting to that in this particular time. So get really centered in the place where you're seated right now. I'm seated on the floor on the block. You can do this today in a chair. And if you're totally exhausted, you could even do this in bed, laying down or laying flat on the floor, okay? Take this first moment, though, to tune in to what it means for you to be alive in silence. To be alive in silence. Friday I advertised these meditations as being sound meditation, which really came from the old paradigm of what I offered on Fridays. And this is going to be a sound meditation, but I want you to focus on the sound of, your own breathing, the sound of your own breathing as the sound that you're meditating upon. And as you're focusing on the sound of your own breathing, breathe through the root system of the tree of life that is your human body. Don't feel the breath in your nose or necessarily coming through your lips or originating just in the lungs, but feel it coming up in a way that's really fortifying, and in a way that is really permeating and organic. If you think about root systems, they're not static. They're constantly relating to the land in which they're in. And so let your root system relate to the ecosystem that you're presently residing in, and feel how alive you can be in that stillness. And let your eyes simply open up. And this is the particular meditation that we practice for creating the sensitivity and the sophistication and a sublime elevation in our intuitional intelligence, in our koa. So you're going to pull your ring finger down with the thumb on each of your hands, and you'll just hover the arms and elbows alongside the rib cage. And you want to breathe in a way that's going to help the cage of your human body open, so that you can breathe more deeply and fully through the root system, and so that you can also make yourself available to feel how you are also being breathed and therefore tended to as you tend to what it is that you're carefully carrying. So you're going to move these fingers. Your index finger is your Jupiter finger, which is the finger that's all about generating growth and prosperity and manifestation and the mobilization of your Dharma, your particular path of purpose and meaning and contribution in life. You're moving that energy away from the Saturn finger, which tends to be more of the crazy making energy that is generating obstacles. So we're moving the obstacles away. We're creating space in the intellect. So I want you to begin by looking at the tip of the nose, please, and at a rhythm and at a pace that feels like it's coming up through you. You don't have to move as fast or as slow as my hands do, but look at the tip of the nose and be parting the fingers and then reuniting the fingers, parting and reuniting. So you want to feel a kind of stretch in the connective tissues of the hands and through the fingers and in the space between the fingers. So just get this started, looking at the tip of the nose, which is going to be challenging in and of itself. But again, this is also, it's bringing its own generative feature that's helping to pressurize the subconscious mind and to pressurize the endocrine system so that you can stabilize yourself in love. I know that when I begin, sometimes I witness how my breath is either shallow or maybe sometimes I'm even holding my breath. But just compassionately witnessing all of that and steer all of your sensitive observational skills in that direction so that you can open up in presence more deeply. To sort through all of the genetic instructions that are going on in your biology and in your neurology, and to gear shift upwards towards conscious choice. Okay? So stay in that. I'm going to just change our music for a moment. This is a super powerful mantra that helps us to get really square in the saddle of our intention, our individual intention. Merging the relative mind with the ultimate mind into one multi-variegated, meticulous mind. Keep your shoulders really relaxed. Transforming limited vision. When the inner conditions for transfiguration are conducive, then the transformation happens elegantly and effortlessly. Yield. Bring everything that you have on your table to your meditation. Bring all those parts of you that are radiant and buffed and polished and ready to take on the world. Bring all the parts of you that are broken and half-baked and scared. Bring it all. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. Sensitivity. Sophistication, sublime presence, pristine, serene, into your kidneys and opening up the space in the lower back portion of your physical body. Your visualization field, see the egg of energy that is also part of your physical address. Let the meditation help to comb through your energy field to remove the tangles and the brambles as you comb through the field. Tuning into the line of energy that's moving from earlobe to earlobe, that's moving across the line of the nipples in the chest, line of energy that's moving through from foot to foot, and tuning into your pranic body. It's right behind your heart center, holding you. Let the meditation work on, let it be a quantum ballet in your neural networks. It's every possibility that this entire universe is one big neural network. Wherever your mind goes, you go. Using these moments of togetherness and meditation to facilitate some collective house cleaning. Pristine, serene, experiential wisdom, intuitional intelligence. Keep it going, stay up. Looking at the tip of the nose, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the place where the bottom jaw and the top jaw join. Stabilizing yourself in love. Love force, intelligence. Internal force, conscious choice. Let every inhale balloon three-dimensionally, omnidirectionally inside of the inner body. If your eyes fatigue because of the gaze, close them down. Restore and then begin again. When we work in the Aditana energies, very oftentimes the shadow shows up. But in integrative practices, we never run from the shadow. We are not light chasers exclusively. It's the shadow's edge that defines the light. It hovers there as a reminder to remain in present moment observation. Integrate the shadows as they present themselves to you. If they're ancient shadows that you've had around since your childhood, or something that just showed up this week, leave it in. It showed up for a reason. Let it fortify your field. Reading every living moment, every sensation as revelation. yourself dissolve into the ocean of energy frequency that is your body and space simultaneously when you practice. Merge. Hearing the mantra and letting it work on you, but hear your breath. Slow down the movement of the fingers. That is the abode of your own awareness. Don't shrink back when it feels challenging. That something this subtle can still present a great good amount of challenge. Can you feel the inhalation in the kidneys threaded through? Tune in with the alignment of the brain stem. Allow the bottom of your chin to move softly toward the hollow of your just softly. It should help with the gazing and the opening of the inner door of the mind. Let the meditation toss you a key to the inner door of your luminous mind. Nothing to attain, nothing to grasp, nothing to lose. Creating the inner conditions for sensitive observation to arise. Creating the inner conditions. Keep up. Three, two, and one. Shake the hands for a moment. Bring the right hand on the bottom and join the thumb to the right index finger. And bring the left hand on top, joining the left thumb to the left index finger. And join those conjunction points. Parallel the left forearm with the floor and parallel the right forearm with the ceiling. And feel this infinitude, this figure 8 that you've created with your hands here. This continuity, the continuum, the neutrality of your own meditative mind. Breathe one more time really big and deep into your lower back body. Hold on to it. Don't let it go. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Release the mudra into your lap, placing one hand with the palm up and then the other hand palm up in that hand. And tuning into this moment alive in silence. Alive in silence. Connected to everything that is of significance to you. And in this alive and silent moment, recognizing that there's nothing of value that needs to be added to make this moment worthy or whole. There's nothing that needs to be removed to make you worthy or whole. Alive in the totality and in the reality of what is. One more inhale into the back of the heart, into the back of the kidneys. Yeah, and exhaling. And take this last moment before we all go our separate ways to feel the felt sense, the embodiment of how the meditation embedded itself in your frequency. When we meditate dynamically like this, we put our intention in the frequency. So we can walk back out into the other 23 and a half hours of our day and liberally and proactively apply the sensitivity of our observational intelligence, of our intuitional knowledge and wisdom, our koa. We can bring that into our world from a place of unconscious competency, where we're not having to remind ourselves to do so or to think about doing so, but to let it happen, to practice the art of allowing, because that's the truth of who we are. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you feel really grounded and really equanimous. This is really important here on the Isthmus if you're in the live call. Here on the Isthmus, we had like an overnight switch from late summer into the feeling of deep autumn. Notice the old turtleneck. And what that means is that we feel more tender and more easily disrupted in these transitional times. So to do these Aditan meditations that really bring us home into our root system is really valuable time. So I hope to see you next week. Thank you so much. Take very good care of yourselves. Sat Nam and Namaste.